First of all, I see a building because I'm thinking in components. I see a building as three-dimensional. The bottom is as important as the sides and the top. So theoretically, the roof could be the same as a facade, or especially in the Asian games, right? A roof is actually, in a weird way, what is that? It's like a park. Maybe what we as humans need, like how a building could be more organic so that we have a closer relationship with that building. Contradiction to me is actually what I usually look for. I look for something that is merging things in more complex ways to kind of give another kind of experience as a human, and to liberate us from these straight boxes we are stuffed into that really look like prison cells. So when I design something, I try and add humanness to the building. What I said, like buildings are like organic bodies if you design them well. Really, for me, the biggest discovery was that you could put intelligence in buildings. Intelligence in shapes, intelligence in materials. You could develop hybrid materials that are stronger, better, and don't deplete natural resources. You could think of buildings as bodies that breathe and sweat, and how do you work with that and manufacture them in a fast and precise and beautiful ways.
We have now, of course, three main columns. We're speaking, of course, about very, very big amount of buildings are staying after the war, and we have to do something with them. Demolishing is not the answer. The second point, what we explained all time with this building of edge, it is a point of sustainability. So how to build new buildings so that they can be reused simpler. And the third part, social integration, because we will be in all countries more and more international, with different religions, with different views, how the community has to live. And in this case, this integration of different opinions, integration of controversial opinions and ways of life, it is very, very important and very new, I would say, aim of our towns. If this ground is there, after that, important for me to make like a mise-en-scène, like stages, where I think the urban and material experience with the buildings could be every time significant and different. Today, we have new material, new marble to create the sculpture. This marble consisting not from only new, but from what you get on the place.
At the end, all I'm trying to achieve is utmost simplicity. I always say that when I manage to design a building that makes me feel what a cave makes me feel, I have succeeded. I can stop now. And I haven't, so that's why I continue. And I think there is this feeling of, or this goal that connects all the things that you described with one concept, that is lightness. For me, we're using too much of everything. We're wasting too much. Design poetic, emotional spaces through modular systems to a systematic approach is very important for me. And that's, I think is very difficult. It's very, very difficult to be simple. It's much more easy to be complex. Much more easy. So that's my goal, really. I believe in an integrated approach where, through a real effort of reducing materials, labor, time, we could actually create much better buildings.
I think one of the things that I'm very interested in is this idea of weight. It also comes from my experience of, when I was very young, many years ago in LA, I first saw an entire retrospective of Richard Serra's Stocked Ellipses, and I was absolutely blown away by the emotive quality of the space that those beautiful objects produced, and the way that they enveloped you completely. And yet the fact was that while there was this beautiful sense of movement in those spaces, there was also a sense of weight. And this contradiction about weight and movement, it seemed very counter intuitive, but that's something that's really interesting for me, to be able to work with contradiction.
I think from my understanding and also my architecture philosophy is super important. Still, as an architect, I think it should be like a human-centric decision-making process. But the human-centric in the digital age is quite different to the modernism era, because the modernism is totally, it's kind of formalism is totally a methodology. It's kind of playing with the form-making process. But right now, I think after the AI and the digital actually integrate into the design thinking, it's kind of new human-centric. It's a human-machine collaborative-centric. In this era, it's super important to redefine the authorship. I think the first authorship is still the human being. I think the future designers need to implement not only your brain, but also such kind of plugin softwares, because it's super intelligent ways to help you to read something invisible. It's like the structure for form finding. It's a kind of process. Human being can never find the forces flow in such an efficient way. I think you need to not just join a building, but also you need to fabricate a building.
We were initially fascinated with the gadgets, and we discovered that our fascination of the gadgets and maybe the Braun, this company produces the players and speakers and shaving machines, and especially Bang & Olufsen and companies like that, which are famous for their design. They were a kind of inspiration for us, and we tracked this lab back to from where it originated. And we discovered that this was not because we were fond of the gadgets, but the gadgets were fond of architecture. Gadgets were borrowing the forms of architecture and borrowing the aesthetics of architecture. And some of the gadgets have this quality of and the ability to be not only home appliances, but have some symbolic or maybe some formal, bigger meaning than their function per se. We just noticed the ability of the gadgets to be so beautiful and so architectural that we took it back to architecture. So they borrowed from architecture and we took it back to architecture.